What's poppin', people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well, mate. Really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News. Of course, deadline day, the 31st of January. The end of a relatively inactive January transfer window, but there could still be a transfer battle on our hands, and if we know Chelsea, there's always late drama on the cards. In today's video, we're going to reflect on what's happened so far, what could happen, and actually some just general positive movements for the Chelsea squad. Of course, Chelsea are playing away to Anfield, or at Anfield, shall I say, this evening in the Premier League. The Kloppening is happening, his farewell tour. Hopefully, Chelsea can upset the apple cart there. I will, of course, do a reaction video to that result here on the channel, sitting down in a more relaxed podcast format. So, I thank you for joining me today. If you do want to support the content, you're welcome to do so simply by liking and subscribing. If you choose to subscribe, please do hit the bell. It helps out a lot. We're so close to 180,000 subscribers, and you, my dear sweet viewer and friend, can help me reach that milestone. Alright then, let's get into today's video. So, the transfer window, let's talk about where we are so far. Loans and recalls, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start on the recalls. Cesare Casadei has been recalled from what was a generally successful loan away at Leicester City, who look like are going to win a trophy this season. I've said it before, and heck, I'm going to say it again. That would have been a great experience for the young Italian man to play his first full season of senior first-team football and lift a trophy. Yes, we've robbed him of that, but we've taken him back because we think we can utilise him. So let's hope for Cesare Casadei that we see him feature for the remainder of the season, probably off the bench, but who knows, maybe in the odd start. Not so much a success story was Diego Moreira away at Lyon playing in Ligue 1. The young winger did not have a successful time of it over there, played a few matches, didn't really contribute, and of course was recalled due to it being a failed loan. Now, the young man is still a teenager, and I suspect he will be put back into the Chelsea development squad rather than featuring for Chelsea again this season. He couldn't go out on another loan because he's played for two clubs this season. He featured for Chelsea before he actually went on loan, so therefore he can't be sent away to a third club to feature, and I just can't see him featuring in Pochettino's squad. We've got wingers now, we've got quality, rotational options, and for the moment, he's very young, so he's still got time. I just don't think he's good enough. He might be one of those signings that Chelsea reflect on, like, yeah, why did we do that? Another one, and maybe somewhere in between, is Andre Santos, recalled from his loan away at Nottingham Forest. Now, yes, this would have to be regarded as a failed loan generally, but the player himself is of immense quality. Of course, Chelsea, their initial plans for the young Brazilian midfielder was to utilise them in the first team last January when Graham Potter was managing Chelsea, but we had issues with his visa. Of course, he went back to Brazil. He ended up captaining the U20 Brazilian side to a trophy and then joined Chelsea in the summer for pre-season, looking very, very good. And we sent him on what we thought was a great loan, Nottingham Forest. Now, I think he may feature for Chelsea a little bit. I think actually in terms of profile, he could be a little bit more useful than Cesare Casadei. I actually saw a couple of comments in my YouTube videos of referencing both Casadei and Carney Chukwuemeka potentially as a false nine, which I really, really like actually, both attacking midfielders. Of course, not for a long-term solution, just in a pinch. They're both quite tall. They're both, well, certainly Casadei is good in the air, and maybe as a link-up false nine, they'd work quite well, maybe. Just an interesting thought experiment there. Obviously, Cole Palmer can do it, but I've said it before, I'll say it again. I do get concerned about Cole Palmer's finishing when he starts in the false nine position. It's almost like a psychological block. He does his best work when floating around. I just wonder, maybe Casadei and or Carney Chukwuemeka playing as a false nine role. Again, not as a long-term solution. I'd rather Nico Jackson play there. I'd rather Nkunku play there, maybe. We'll see a bit more of Nkunku up front. But it's an interesting thought exercise. We, of course, recalled David Datro Fofana from, yes, that's right, another failed loan from Union Berlin over in the Bundesliga. Now, initially, I didn't think this was the worst loan in the world. Of course, Union had an excellent season last campaign, qualifying for this season's Champions League, and for a while there, actually being in a title race. They signed Bonucci as well in the summer. They had a strange transfer window. It seems to have not worked. He didn't do very well, David Datro Fofana. Apparently, he fell out with a coach as well, returned to Chelsea, and we were going to loan him to Sevilla, so from one relegation battle to maybe a Spanish relegation battle, and we decided on an English relegation battle, and we sent him to Burnley. Although it's still a Premier League loan, we can keep an eye on him in Premier League football, probably all things considered, and his track record so far. Still quite a decent loan, so we'll keep an eye on that. So far, the most impressive piece of transfer business, or at least the one that's working out the most, is Ian Martsen's loan to Borussia Dortmund. I think he's got 3 out of 3 wins, I believe. Certainly the BVB fans absolutely adore Martsen over there. He's played as a sort of conventional left-back. He played a role when he was inverting into the midfield. I think he's got an assist. He's got very high rankings on SofaScore. Of course, they're paying a £2 million loan fee as well as covering his wages, and they have a £35 million option to buy. So £37 million for Ian Martsen, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, here it comes. That would represent pure profit. To be honest, in the end, Dortmund might be very, very happy to pay that fee indeed, and it could look like a bit of a snip for them, but ultimately, it will be reflected as good business for Chelsea, you know, the same as Lewis Hall. Great players, great potential, but if they're not going to work in the current system, make good money for them, make pure profit for them. You know, between Lewis Hall and Ian Martsen, that's best part of 70 million pure profit that will be paid next summer, or the upcoming summer. Great business, really, and if you add Armando Broja to that, who we are going to talk about in just a moment, this will keep Chelsea, hopefully, fingers crossed, safe in terms of profit and sustainability rules. Before we talk about this transfer battle for Chelsea striker Armando Broja, I do want to talk about some positives as well, because it's not just loanees being recalled, a couple being sent out again. Injuries have plagued Chelsea this season, and it could feel like a better half, certainly the second half could feel like the better half of this campaign, with big characters returning. Of course, Chilwell coming back's already looking massive. I know Gusto's only been out for a little bit, but him coming back looks big as well. We can't expect to see like the likes of Reece James or Wesley Fofana, who, by the way, both could be massive for Pochettino until the end of the season, but returning players like Christopher Nkunku and Carney Chukwuemeka, who have both now returned into full team training, could be massive additions indeed. Of course, Romeo Lavia has been a very interesting case. I do wonder how we'll reflect on his signing. I mean, it's a Joe Shield signing. He did well with Cole Palmer. He was adamant he wanted Romeo Lavia, so if we're going to back him on Cole Palmer, which has been a massive green tick, then let's wait and see for Romeo Lavia, who's really yet to feature so far. So yeah, let's just give it some time. So Chelsea have players. We've got players. We really do, man. So even if we'd thought, maybe we'll bring in a striker, Chelsea's long-term plan is to spend big on a striker. And to be honest, many Chelsea fans will be happy Chelsea didn't get taken for a ride this January transfer window. Look, we signed good players last January. You know, maybe we overpaid on some, but ultimately Chelsea will see that as a good long-term investment. But you do pay inflated prices, and Chelsea will be looking at this window going, we made money, we've not lost it, and let's buy these big players in the summer. But there still could be some big business, and that is people wanting to buy a relatively out-of-form Armando Broja. Whether it's Wolves or Fulham, who are the two clubs lately trying to get him, let's get some intel from Mike McGrath on the Telegraph and see what's being said. Fulham manager Marco Silva is hoping a deal can be struck for Armando Broja after making the Chelsea striker his preferred choice for a late January deal. Chelsea are willing to listen to offers for Broja, who's 22, in the final days/hours now of the window, but they value him at 50 million quid, which Fulham have not met, unsurprisingly. However, they remain in the race for the Albania international if a deal can be struck before Thursday's deadline, with Silva wanting to fill the position left by Alexander Mitrovic when he departed for Al Hilal in the summer. Broja has started 8 matches this season and found the net twice following his recovery from a serious knee injury. His asking price reflects on a market that's short of strikers and the £72 million Manchester United paid for Rasmus Højlund in the summer. Following up on this, David Ornstein has said, my one to watch is Armando Broja. He's available to leave Chelsea on a permanent transfer or a loan with an obligation to buy. Chelsea value him around £50 million, but perhaps as the deadline draws closer, there may be a bit of flexibility on that price. Well, you'd have to say there would absolutely, definitely have to be some flexibility on the £50 million asking price. If Chelsea sell Armando Broja for £50 million, no disrespect to the young man, I think he could be excellent. the world has gone insane. The dude's got 2 goals in 19 games, he's coming off a serious injury, and he's playing currently with his head down, looking like he's devoid of confidence and form. If any club looks past all that, especially a club of the sort of standing of Wolves and Fulham, if they put 50 million quid on the table for Broja, my mind will blow into fragile little pieces. Truth is, if we get 35 million quid for him, that would be good. That would be great, in fact. Again, I don't want to say those dirty words, but pure profit, hundreds of millions of pure profit of late. And, you know, it's unsavoury, you know, it's a poor taste. But ultimately, Chelsea fans will say, yeah, he could be good, Broja, but, you know, he's probably not the solution at the moment. And if his contribution of that value makes us sign, you know, an Osimhen or another, you know, primary target that really does represent the solution to Chelsea's goal-scoring woes, then it's a necessary evil, man. Marco Silva is apparently a massive fan of Armando Broja, wants to sign him. Of course, Gary O'Neill would like him as well, but they've already approached him for a loan. Fulham have approached Chelsea. My main thing here would be, I would prefer if we get this done after full time, that the deadline presumably closes, was it at midnight tonight? Chelsea, of course, are playing Liverpool late. At least do it in the background. Don't have news stories popping off before kickoff that, you know, Pochettino's having a microphone put in his face when he's being asked about his team selection. And they say, what do you think about Broja going to Fulham? Of course, a massive talking point here would be when the lineup's released at 7:15 tonight, I believe it will be. Will Broja be in the squad? If he's not in the squad, eyebrows will be collectively raised, and that will be like, well, he's off, or he's, you know, he's been put on ice because he could be off. Still massive story, really, and I wanted to reflect on it here. I want to get your opinions, so comment down below how you feel about this transfer battle, how you feel about Chelsea being generally quiet and maybe a little bit more careful in this January window, making money rather than spending it. And just looking at what we've got, and we have got a lot, we really do have a lot. So let me know what you think down below. I can't wait to read your comments. I'll thank you for joining me today, of course. Keep it locked for my review later of Chelsea's hopefully positive result at Anfield. And yeah, man, please do subscribe. We're nearly on 180k. Let's get back on the grind, eh? Let's do it together, you and me. Alright, friends, hopefully see you back here soon. Peace.